Victoria often felt trapped in a relentless cycle of exhaustion and dissatisfaction. No matter what she tried, nothing seemed to change until she met a wise mentor who opened her eyes to a startling revelation. Could her nighttime habits be the invisible chains keeping her from the life she desired? As she began to explore this unsettling idea, Victoria uncovered secrets that would challenge everything she thought she knew about rest, renewal, and prosperity. But would she have the courage to break the cycle and reclaim her life? Victoria often wondered why she felt so restless and unfulfilled despite her best efforts. Every night seemed the same, scrolling through social media until her eyes burned, worrying about her unpaid bills, or replaying old arguments in her mind. The sleepless hours dragged on, and when she did sleep, it was shallow and filled with anxious dreams. How could a night's rest feel more exhausting than being awake? She thought. But she dismissed these thoughts, believing her insomnia was just another consequence of her struggling life. Lying in the darkness, Victoria's thoughts spiraled into endless loops. Is this really my life? She couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental was broken, but she didn't know how to fix it. Her messy bedroom felt like a mirror of her chaotic mind. Clothes on the floor, old coffee mugs on the nightstand, and a laundry basket that had become more of a decoration than a functional piece of furniture. The mess weighed on her, amplifying her guilt and hopelessness. The next morning, Victoria's exhaustion showed in her bloodshot eyes and sluggish movements. At work, her supervisor's criticism stung more than usual. "You seem distracted," he said. Distracted? She thought. "I'm just surviving." Victoria's strained smile didn't hide her resentment. She was doing everything she could to stay afloat, yet her finances kept spiraling out of control, and her energy levels were at an all-time low. What was she doing wrong? That evening, she vented to her friend and neighbor, Sophia. "I'm just tired of feeling stuck," Victoria admitted, her voice breaking. Sophia, a practitioner of Buddhist teachings, observed Victoria's cluttered living room and nodded thoughtfully. "Your nights shape your days," she said. Victoria frowned, not quite understanding. "What do you mean?" she asked. Sophia simply replied, "The way you end your day sets the tone for what you attract." The cryptic response left Victoria intrigued but skeptical. Sophia's words lingered in Victoria's mind as she scrolled through her phone later that night. Could her nighttime habits really be ruining her life? The thought seemed absurd, yet a part of her couldn't deny the growing unease in her chest. What if she's right? Victoria wondered, her thumb hovering over the phone screen. But old habits die hard, and soon she was lost in endless videos and articles. Still, something deep inside whispered that Sophia's words held a hidden truth. The following week, Victoria's exhaustion peaked. Her restless nights had taken a toll on her health and work performance. One evening, she wandered into a nearby bookstore to escape the noise in her head. The scent of old books and the hushed atmosphere offered a rare sense of calm. As she browsed, a title caught her eye, The Night's Influence, Ancient Wisdom on Rest and Renewal. Curious, she opened the book, and an old card slipped out, an invitation to a meditation group led by a spiritual guide named Gabriel. Victoria hesitated. Meditation had never been her thing. It seemed too abstract for someone dealing with very real problems. But the more she read the introduction, the more it resonated with her. The book spoke of how nighttime rituals could cleanse one's spirit and prepare the mind to receive prosperity. Could this really be the missing piece? She wondered. The words seemed to call out to her, offering a lifeline she didn't know she needed. Despite her doubts, Victoria attended the meditation group that weekend. She was welcomed by a soft-spoken man with a serene presence, Gabriel, the group's mentor. "Welcome, Victoria," he said, as if he had been expecting her. She sat awkwardly among the others, unsure of what to expect. Gabriel began the session with a story about how old habits can act as invisible chains, binding us to cycles of scarcity and despair. "Our actions before rest shape the reality we wake up to," he said calmly. During the session, Victoria felt a rare sense of stillness in her racing mind. Gabriel's voice was like a gentle breeze, carrying wisdom and caution in equal measure. Many people unknowingly plant seeds of chaos and scarcity before bed, he explained. By changing what we do in those final moments, we can transform what we attract. Victoria couldn't help but think of her endless nights of overthinking and mindless scrolling. Is that what I've been doing? She asked herself. After the session, Victoria approached Gabriel hesitantly. How do I change these habits? She asked, her voice betraying her desperation. Gabriel smiled softly. The first step is awareness, he replied. You must recognize the patterns that bind you before you can break them. He handed her a small journal and instructed her to write down her nighttime routine, as it was now, without judgment.
Start here, he said.
And remember, the journey to change begins with a single step. Victoria followed Gabriel's advice and began documenting her nighttime routine. As she wrote, she was shocked by the sheer amount of time she spent on mindless activities. How did I let this become my life? She thought, feeling a mixture of shame and anger. The routine was a mirror, reflecting all the ways she had neglected her own well-being. She felt like a stranger in her own life, lost in habits that drained her energy and eroded her spirit. One evening after the meditation session, Victoria stayed behind to speak with Gabriel. Why do these habits matter so much? She asked, her voice tinged with skepticism. Gabriel's eyes held a depth of understanding as he replied, Your habits are not just actions. They are energy signals to the universe. When you fill your nights with chaos, you carry that chaos into your waking life. His words hung heavy in the air, sinking into Victoria's mind like seeds waiting to grow. Gabriel continued, We live in a world that bombards us with noise and distractions. But the quiet moments before sleep are sacred. They determine what energy you carry into the next day. He paused, studying her closely. If you end each night with stress, fear, and noise, how can you expect to wake up to peace and prosperity? Victoria felt a chill run down her spine. Is this why my life feels like an endless loop of struggle? She wondered, her breath shallow with anticipation. Gabriel's voice softened as he offered her a warning. Changing your habits won't be easy. You'll face resistance, from yourself and from others. But if you're willing to commit to the practice, you can change your life. He handed Victoria a small box containing a white candle and a piece of amethyst. Start by creating a space of calm before sleep. Light the candle, hold the amethyst, and set your intention to release the day's burdens, he instructed. Victoria's hand trembled as she took the items, unsure of whether she was ready for this journey. Walking home that night, Victoria's mind was a whirl of thoughts and emotions. Gabriel's words echoed within her, mingling with her doubts. Could a simple ritual really shift her reality? She lit the candle hesitantly, watching the flame flicker like the uncertainty in her heart. Is this the beginning of something new, or just another failed attempt? She wondered, feeling the weight of her own expectations pressed down on her. She took a deep breath, determined to try. Victoria's first attempt at the ritual was awkward and uncomfortable. She felt foolish, sitting in silence with a candle and a piece of amethyst. Her mind resisted, throwing up thoughts of unfinished tasks, anxieties about work, and old resentments. How am I supposed to find peace when my mind is so loud? She thought, frustration simmering beneath her calm exterior. But she remembered Gabriel's words. Start small. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. Over the next few days, she continued the ritual, each night feeling a little less resistant. Slowly, something began to shift. The stillness of the candlelight offered a brief reprieve from her restless thoughts, and the weight of the amethyst in her palm reminded her to ground herself in the present. Is this what clarity feels like? She wondered, noticing subtle changes in her mood and energy levels. It wasn't dramatic, but it was enough to keep her going. One night, after a particularly stressful day at work, Victoria found herself falling back into old habits. She reached for her phone, craving distraction, but stopped herself. What am I avoiding? She asked silently. She realized that her nighttime habits weren't just mistakes. They were shields against the discomfort of facing her own fears and failures. The thought was unsettling, but also liberating. For the first time, she saw her habits not as flaws, but as symptoms of deeper wounds. Victoria shared her revelation with Gabriel at the next meditation session. He listened thoughtfully before responding, "Your awareness is the first victory. Now comes the challenge of replacing those old patterns with new ones." He suggested she begin practicing gratitude before bed, focusing on even the smallest moments of joy or progress. Gratitude isn't just a nice idea, it's a way to align your energy with abundance, Gabriel explained. His words resonated with Victoria, offering a new perspective on what she had once dismissed as mere positive thinking. That night, Victoria wrote her first entry in a gratitude journal. It was a simple act, but it felt monumental to her, a small rebellion against the narrative of scarcity that had dominated her thoughts. Could this really change my reality? She wondered, feeling a quiet anticipation in her heart. She blew out the candle, watching the smoke curl upward like a prayer, and closed her eyes with a sense of hope she hadn't felt in years. As the weeks passed, Victoria's nighttime ritual became a cornerstone of her routine. She started turning off her electronics an hour before bed, opting instead to read or listen to calming music. The shift wasn't easy. There were nights when the urge to scroll through social media was almost unbearable. But each time, she reminded herself of Gabriel's words, "The energy you invite into your rest determines the energy you wake up with." She chose peace over distraction. One evening, after lighting her candle and settling into her meditation, Victoria felt a deep sense of discomfort rise within her. It was as if the quiet had unearthed something hidden, memories of past failures, fears of future disappointments. She wanted to flee from these feelings, but instead, she stayed with them, breathing deeply and letting the emotions wash over her. Is this what it means to confront your shadows? She wondered, her heart heavy with old pain. Victoria spoke with Gabriel about her experience. "The discomfort you're feeling is a sign of growth," he assured her. "When you create space for peace, the old wounds will rise to the surface. It's not a sign of failure. It's an invitation to heal." Victoria nodded, trying to absorb his wisdom. Gabriel suggested she add one more element to her ritual, a cleansing breath, releasing what no longer served her. "Breathe in peace and breathe out what holds you back," he instructed. Victoria incorporated the breathing practice into her nightly ritual, finding it both grounding and liberating. Each exhale felt like shedding an old skin, making room for something new. Am I really letting go of these burdens? She wondered, her thoughts quieter than usual. She noticed that her sleep was deeper, her dreams less chaotic. It wasn't just a change in routine. It felt like a transformation of her inner world. The ritual was becoming more than a habit. It was a path. One morning, Victoria woke up feeling a lightness she hadn't known in years. Her room, once a chaotic mess, now felt like a sanctuary, a reflection of her growing clarity. She smiled at the simple beauty of the sunrise outside her window, realizing that she was waking up not just to a new day, but to a new way of being. Is this what it means to reclaim your life? She thought, her heart swelling with a sense of quiet triumph. As Victoria's nighttime routine solidified, she began to confront more of her internal struggles. But changing her habits revealed deeper challenges. Old memories resurfaced, and with them came unresolved guilt and fear. One night, as she wrote in her gratitude journal, her hand paused over the page. "Why do I still feel so unworthy?" She wondered. She had started to cultivate new habits, but the weight of her past mistakes lingered like shadows in the corners of her mind. During a meditation session, Gabriel noticed Victoria's heavy heart. "You've come far, but you're still carrying something," he observed gently. Victoria hesitated before admitting, "I keep thinking about all the times I failed, all the things I couldn't fix." Gabriel's gaze was steady. "Holding on to old failures is like clutching broken glass," he said. "It doesn't protect you, it just keeps you bleeding." His words hit Victoria like a wave, stirring something deep within her. Am I ready to let go? She wondered. That night, as she lit her candle, Victoria whispered a silent promise to herself. It's time to release what no longer serves me. She closed her eyes, focusing on her breath, feeling the rise and fall of her chest. With each exhale, she imagined letting go of the shame, fear, and resentment that had haunted her for so long. But as the memories surfaced, the pain was sharper than she expected. Why does it hurt so much to let go? She thought, her hands trembling. In a moment of vulnerability, Victoria reached out to Sophia for support. They met at a quiet cafe where Victoria shared her struggle with confronting her past. Sophia listened quietly before offering a different perspective. "Your past doesn't define you, Victoria," she said softly. "It's just a part of your story. What matters is what you choose to carry forward." Sophia's words were like a balm to Victoria's wounds. Could it really be that simple? She wondered, feeling a flicker of hope. Returning home, Victoria felt a sense of resolve. She decided to create a new ritual, one of forgiveness, not just for others, but for herself. That night, she wrote down all the mistakes and regrets she had been holding on to, and with a deep breath, she set the paper aflame, watching as the smoke curled upward like a prayer. "Am I finally free of this weight?" she wondered, feeling a lightness in her chest. It wasn't complete, but it was a beginning. Victoria continued her new routine with a renewed sense of purpose. Her sleep became deeper, her mornings brighter, and her days more productive. But more importantly, she noticed a shift in her perspective. She began to see challenges as opportunities and failures as lessons. Is this what it means to live with intention? She wondered, feeling a growing sense of alignment between her actions and her aspirations. It was a slow shift, but it felt authentic and lasting. One evening, while preparing her nightly ritual, Victoria felt a deep sense of gratitude well up within her. She had come so far, yet there was still more to do. She decided to write a letter of thanks, not just to those who had helped her, but to herself for having the courage to change. As she wrote, tears streamed down her face. "Why did it take me so long to see my own worth?" she thought, feeling a mixture of sadness and pride. At the next meditation session, Gabriel could sense the transformation in Victoria. "You're carrying yourself differently," he remarked with a gentle smile. Victoria nodded, feeling a deep sense of validation. "I think I'm finally starting to believe in myself," she replied. Gabriel's eyes gleamed with approval. "Belief is the foundation of all transformation," he said. "But remember, true prosperity comes not just from changing your habits, but from nurturing your spirit." His words stayed with Victoria, deepening her understanding. As the days passed, Victoria began to experience small moments of prosperity. A surprise bonus at work, an old friend reaching out with an opportunity, and even unexpected savings in her bills. Each moment felt like a ripple in the waters of her life, affirming the changes she was making. Is this the universe responding? She wondered, her heart swelling with gratitude. The small victories were enough to sustain her commitment to her journey. But the true transformation came from within. Victoria realized that her nighttime habits weren't just about creating new routines. They were about choosing a new way of being. The ritual had become a mirror, reflecting her deepest desires and fears, and each night was a chance to align herself with the life she wanted to create. Maybe this is what it means to live with intention, she thought, feeling a deep sense of peace and purpose for the first time in years. Months passed, and Victoria's life continued to blossom in unexpected ways. Her financial situation stabilized, her work performance improved, and her relationships deepened. But more importantly, Victoria felt an inner peace that she hadn't known in years. Is this what it feels like to be aligned with prosperity? She wondered, feeling a profound sense of gratitude for every small victory and every lesson learned. She no longer felt like a victim of her circumstances. She felt like the creator of her reality. One evening, as Victoria prepared for her nightly ritual, she paused to reflect on her journey. She had faced her shadows, embraced her vulnerability, and redefined her relationship with herself. Who would have thought that such small changes could lead to such a big transformation? She mused, feeling a sense of wonder at how far she had come. She lit her candle with reverence, setting her intention to continue growing in alignment with her purpose and values. Victoria visited Gabriel one last time, wanting to thank him for his guidance. "I feel like I've found my path," she said, her voice steady with conviction. Gabriel smiled warmly. "The path was always within you, Victoria," he replied. "You just needed to clear the obstacles that were blocking your way." His words resonated deeply, affirming what she had come to understand: that true prosperity isn't about changing your circumstances, it's about changing yourself. In the final moments of her nighttime ritual, Victoria added a new element: a quiet prayer of gratitude.
She thanked the universe, her mentors, and herself for having the courage to change. The candle's flame flickered softly, reflecting the light that now shone within her. Is this what it means to live a life of abundance? She wondered, feeling a sense of fulfillment that went beyond material success. It was a fulfillment rooted in self-awareness, growth, and purpose. Victoria stood at her window, watching the moonlight cast soft shadows on the street below. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill her lungs. She wasn't just ending a day, she was closing a chapter of her life and opening a new one. The future is full of unknowns, she thought, but I'm ready for whatever comes next. With a final whisper of gratitude, she blew out the candle, embracing the darkness with a heart full of light. Victoria discovered that small, intentional changes in her nighttime routine led to a profound transformation in her life. What about you? Are there habits in your nightly routine that could be silently holding you back? Share in the comments what you're ready to change or let go of. And if this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more journeys of growth and self-discovery. Remember, every transformation begins with a single choice. What will yours be?